Welcome to Get Perspective, the unscripted, unfiltered, real talk show. And here, we bring people of all different nationalities, ages, and sexual orientations together. For what you may ask? To talk, of course, about social issues, dating, and anything and everything in between. 4 participants will watch 2 spontaneous interviews recorded at NHL Stenden. We call these Vox Boxes. After each Vox Box, the 4 of us will converse about the topic at hand. And who knows, maybe you'll get some perspective.
I'm here with
Leun, Afke,
Juan,
Bianca,
Irene,
Jane,
Jan.
Jeremy.
Natalia.
A relationship can still work if people have different sex drives.
I don't think so.
Yes, I think it can.
Yeah, I do think so, yeah.
I don't think it could work.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think it can.
But you have to speak a lot about it.
Yes, it definitely can work as long as you communicate.
It might be more difficult to do these days because communication.
Communication.
And communicate with your partner and just respect each other's boundaries.
Yeah, I'm always just about talking through it, and then you can always work it out, I think.
For example, if me and my partner, if I like to have sex every day and my partner doesn't, yeah, it's a little bit difficult. I think it's, yeah.
Everyone has his own feelings and needs, and in a relationship you should respect that towards each other.
So, for example, I would like to have sex like almost daily, and I couldn't have like a relationship with someone who only wants to have it one a month.
The more important thing here, I think, about the emotion between 2 people. So it doesn't matter about the sex drive.
But I know that most people are not open with it, maybe because they're just scared of what could happen. They're afraid of change. You know, change can scare some people.
But as long as you are open to talk about it, are open to discuss the topic, I do think it's doable. Yes, indeed. Yeah.
It's all about communication. Communication does not change sex drive. Can communication even help?
In my opinion, communication can definitely boost your sex drive. And also, for example, if we can take our relationship, for example, the more you talk about what you like and what you don't like and what you like your partner doing and what you don't like your partner doing, the more you also get to know your partner, and it builds up trust, and it can definitely boost your sex drive. I think if I think about months ago, I guess, when we weren't that crazy open about talking what we like and what we don't like, we found a lot more new stuff that we tried out, for example, or like now, and we just know about what to do and what not to do, and it can also definitely boost the chemistry in a relationship, I think, and with that also definitely boost your sex drive.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think communication is key in general, but also in sex. And, we shouldn't be afraid of talking about it. And, as you were saying, telling your partner, this I like, this I don't, let's try this, or that can totally influence your sex drive. But I also think, sometimes even that doesn't really make it equal. And sometimes you have to compromise and say, hey, this is happening. And, maybe look out for other solutions such as, masturbating, like masturbation is a thing. I don't know, it's all about communicating with your partner. I feel like that's what's going to bring you somewhere, I think.
Definitely. I agree a lot with both of you. And like you said, communication is key, and it's very important to be able to be open about this stuff. And when having different sex drives, especially because the first thing that you should understand is that having a different sex drive is about something biological. It's something that you do not control. It's not because you don't find your partner attractive. It can be because of stress. It can be because a lot of things that can cause a loss of libido, for which is very important to tackle what the problem is, and that can only be done through communication.
Totally.
Also, something very important, it's that you shouldn't confuse what sex drive is. Because when you start thinking about sex drive, you're gonna think about how long or how often you do the sex, but we should really focus, especially young teenagers, on how to do it and to find out what you like, what you don't, and if you're doing it good and satisfying each other equally. And that can only be done with communication.
Totally.
Acknowledging the problem and then find out how to deal with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Communicating and finding out about the problem and like locating it, and then you can try to solve it and find
And also
find
the
a
fact
way.
that you said about like biology plays a big role.
Totally.
For example, there are people maybe who don't have like a sex drive hormone or whatever, and then they're asexual, and then already talking about it is then important.
Yeah,
Acknowledging it.
Definitely.
Totally.
Understanding yourself and the other person.
Yes, I completely agree.
A girl from the Vox Pop, Maria Bianca, said, having different sex drives wouldn't work for me. What value does sex play in a relationship?
Okay, since I haven't been in a relationship, I let you. You can go for it.
Okay, then maybe I'm going to take the word, and I would like to say that sex definitely plays an important role in, at least for me, in a relationship, because it helps to get to know your partner more and to build up trust and just confidence with each other. And I think sex is also a very great way of showing maybe emotions and appreciations and just love or feelings to your partner that you couldn't put that easily into words. So in my opinion, sex is definitely a very important part of a working relationship for me, just to express yourself also.
Yes, I agree with that. For me, sex is important. And if you think about it, we were made to have sex. That's how we have evolved as a human race. And sex is something that everyone should enjoy. It's there to be enjoyed. But for some people, it might not be that way. In my case, I have a high sex drive, and so does my partner. So for us, sex is something important. Now, we also need to have in mind that I love him because how his personality, his values, because I respect him because of the person he is, not because how good we have sex. You know, it's something important, but it's not something that you should focus your relationship on. And if you have in mind that he wants me happy, I want him to be happy, you know, just it's easy to make it work.
Yeah, it's a nice way to make your partner happy and yourself happy, I guess.
I think that's really beautiful and so true. And like, I don't know, for me, sex in a relationship can mean so much more than the actual act of sex. I don't know, it's so intimate, it's so unique. I love, you know, feeling that the two energies kind of become one, and you know, you can understand your partner in such a different level. And I think it's super beautiful. Also the the previous part, but also the after part of having sex. I think it's very powerful, and like in a way you like blend with the other person, and I think it's something that I personally can only achieve through sex. So it's very important.
Definitely, you put it in very good words, actually. Nice.
Thank you.
Interesting.
Yeah.
It's true, yeah. I think that by sex, you're really gonna form that connection that happens, especially, you know, it's scientifically proven when you orgasm, your brain releases these chemicals, so you're basically having the same brain chemistry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
And everything connects.
To what extent should you compromise for your partner's sex drive?
So to answer that question, it's a bit complicated, and I would say you should definitely reflect on it yourself to see what you are willing to do or to give. But again, we should go back to communication. Speaking of it, knowing how much you're willing to give of yourself, and at the end of the day, when you're in a relationship, you definitely want the best for them and they want the best for you, for which there's no reason to feel uncomfortable or do something that you don't want to. So maybe finding a middle ground, if the person with a higher sex drive wants to have more sex, as long as you're comfortable, maybe, you know, dividing the things you want to do with the things they want to do.
Yeah, I think that's so important. And also being clear and super sure of where you want to set your boundaries or your limits. Sometimes, you know, like you have to know yourself in order to bring it to the table, you know, to talk about it. But again, I think communication is key, as we've been saying. And also, you know, knowing why the sex drive load might be higher or lower. Like, is it really because you're that way, or does it have to do with your partner? Because maybe that's something, you know, to also talk about and really don't be afraid of maybe showing it and like be clear about it. I think reflecting, as you mentioned, is really, really important. And once you know and reflect, you can bring it up and talk about it. But yeah, communication, totally agree with that.
Yeah, I can also just agree with it that communication definitely is also key here. It helps you, to understand what your partner wants, and you should definitely talk about it just to get on a common ground, definitely, and make everything more clear in your relationship. And it also depends from person to person, I would say, and from couple to couple. But definitely communication and also reflecting is very important to master the way to a common ground, I would say. And yeah.
I think, what you said at the end of the day, it depends on the person and what life stage you are, what you want out of life, what you want out of a relationship. And for example, when I see myself maybe being in a relationship later, that could be like a big criteria maybe, that I want a lot of sex. And if that person doesn't offer that to me, it's the same like, oh, maybe I want a person who I can dance with in the night at a club, you know? Exactly. And if that person, if I can't have this time with that person, maybe it's better to look for someone else. And it could be the same case for sex drives, having sex together. Yeah. So reflect on that and maybe say, okay, maybe it doesn't fit, we go our separate ways. But we both want us to be happy, so we go our separate ways.
That's why communication is definitely so important, because you could never know without communicating. Yes. And also communication is very good because you spend time with your partner, you open up and you bond also, kind of. So build trust. So it can even go in a good way when you communicate.
Yes. I would also say that, you know, maybe some people are giving you with love and you're not so matching with sex. And maybe you should look at other alternatives, such as having sex with other people, and that is done again through communication or, like you said, masturbation. So basically, yes, reflecting yourself, how you feel and what you want, and reflecting together.
Together.
Together.